he sits down and all the stuff that comes from that body comes into that body. So by the time he gets to the third person, he's so low because he's got nothing left because everything's been taken up. And then something happens and then he clears what he's taken on.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to the Daily Humans podcast. I'm co-host Ashley.
And I'm Nina.
And today, in a special guest episode, we welcome to you all a very special person, Jordie Janes.
Well,
welcome,
hi.
Lovely.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been a while since I've done a podcast. I'm very excited to explore and see where it goes and give as much information as I can about myself and the work that I do. So very excited.
Well, thank you for choosing to be on our podcast today. We greatly appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Just a little story on lovely Jordie. She is a psychic medium and spiritual healer, a mother, a teacher. Just the whole works, this one. She is so busy. She has so many things on. And honestly, her gifts are a gift to all that have experienced it. So especially Moa here has definitely experienced her amazing gift, and it is quite healing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you'd like to. Yeah, sorry. It's
no,
a bit
no,
delayed.
That's all right. That's okay. It's been what? I've known you for about 6 years now, I think. Roughly.
Yeah, I think so. I thought it was longer, to be honest. It feels like it's been
it might be.
Such a long time.
Be. The years just blend together. So yeah, cool. Sorry, I interrupted you. My apologies.
No. You're fine. I thought I interrupted you. This is the thing that Nina and I go through so many times.
Well, then I feel right at home then. I feel right at home then. So you're happy for me to chat about what I do and things like that. So, and a little bit
definitely.
So
yeah.
Thank you so much for that intro. So I work psychically, which is basically the psychic side of it is soul to soul connection, intuitiveness, basically like an intuitive counselor, pretty much. So I connect with your energy, your higher self, your soul, which is a whole nother thing to describe the different things there. But basically, I just connect to meet the highest good of yourself, of what's going on, and sort of help you navigate the journey in regards to your life. So it could be work, finances, relationships, places, your own even spiritual growth and where you're going within your own soul. Mediumship is a little bit different. We use the same faculties, but mediumship, I connect with your loved ones who have crossed over or transitioned into the next life. And I have certain beautiful guides that love giving me different pieces of information that when I'm talking about things, they make me laugh because it's like the different soul journey from the meat suit into the freedom out of the meat suit. So it's a beautiful thing to, but it's also a beautiful healing modality, which is where I come from, basically, is the healer, is the spiritual healer. So working in all different facets of things with like mediumship, but then I also work energetic healing as well, which Ashley has also had from me, which is feeling truly blessed to allow me to do that for you. And that's basically just doing it's energy healing, working around your body, what's being stuck energetically to help let me rephrase that, allow to heal so you can then heal the physical and spiritual body. So it's a bit like metaphysical type of aspect. And then the spiritual teacher, I've been now teaching this work for about, 7 years now. Actually, it'll be 8 years. It's going so quick, I keep losing count. So basically, I've been teaching since 2017. So, yeah.
That's incredible. Wow. That's just amazing. I wanted to ask you, what made you get started in this career? Is this something that you've always wanted to do? Is this something that you've always been in touch with? Like, what was the thing that sparked this?
Yeah, so it's quite an interesting thing. Always had, everyone's got this ability, and I will say that because everyone's able to daydream, everyone's able to dream, everyone's able to connect to life, like trying to think of the word, I'll come back to that. But everyone's able to do this. And to be honest, I wasn't expecting to be where I am right now 12, 15 years ago. Only that I started doing Reiki, which attuned me to energy and shifted a lot of different blocks or a lot of different things. Because over the years, I was not hypersensitive, but empathic. So taking on other people's stuff energetically, being quite emotional. Then when I did my Reiki, that sort of attuned me into, because we naturally have our own boundaries and blocks. So I was able to discard those and go, oh my God, like the world's just so, it went from black and white and grey to technicolor energetically. So moving from that, I basically did I call it the weekend of unlocking and unblocking and just going, what the WTF. Did a beautiful weekend up at the Gold Coast and with my mum. My mum was with me as well. We did 3 days of intuitiveness with a beautiful mentor from the States and basically just opened everything up, realizing, and when you get like puzzle pieces and like little puzzle pieces or it's all the connecting the dots from that weekend, and then just expansion and put my hat in the ring to do a course 12 years ago, and then the rest is history. So, but yeah, it was more of a case, and now I work professionally in it. That's when spirit sort of pushed me out of my corporate work into this. So, yeah.
It's amazing. Wow. I love that because Ashley, yeah, it is. Ashley and I often talk about, how hard it is to be an empathic in this world. Going outside, you absorb so much energy and so much energy is everywhere all the time. And so for you to have gone on this journey and surpassed your own limitations or your own blocks, so to say, and be where you are today, that is so inspiring. So, wow.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been quite a journey, but it's sometimes you all like, you always hear the saying, be careful what you wish for. I've known from about 20, 30 years ago that I wanted my own business or had that inkling of having my own business. And tried different things, dabbled like hobbies, made jewelry, all that sort of thing, and also did I won't say pyramid schemes, but the like Tupperware or essential oils or the different sort of little party plan own business things. But I just knew I had to have my own business. I didn't know why, I didn't know how. And then all of a sudden, 6 years ago, it came into fruition. So it's always been around me having my own business, but not, and this as well, but combining the two was quite an interesting, it just fell, and I don't know how it fell in my lap, but it just fell in my lap. So, yeah. Yeah.
I am kind of wondering with the journey and how it's unfolded, how have you found that other people have interpreted your gifts?
That's an interesting question because one, I wasn't accepting of my gift to begin with. So it was sort of hard to come out of the broom closet, as I say, to say that I'm a psychic medium. I would just go, I'm a healer, or I'm a spiritual healer, or that sort of thing. And then, but even owning my mediumship, that's a journey in itself. And owning, and I really don't like the word psychic. I just don't like it. And Ashley and I have had a conversation with this quite some time ago, where because of vocabulary, I love vocabulary, even though sometimes I can't get the word out of my mouth. But I'm really, really wanting vocabulary to be stronger and positive rather than negative. So, but owning being psychic and mediumship, it was a journey to own who I was, and then to own the medium within myself and the psychic within myself. It's this work is more self-awareness rather than putting a suit on, if that makes sense. It's all internal. It's not external. It's all internal. And it was quite an interesting thing, because on the week, like this 5 days just gone, where, as I said, I was on a conference or training week with some beautiful medium teachers, 2 from the UK, 2 from Australia, and just connecting with some people who have come to the retreat, and them owning themselves within the mediumship. I can see where I was 5 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Or 6, 7 years ago. So it's sort of like a bit of changing of the guard now, and going, it's there, but it's just coming out of the broom closet. I would say it was more a case of 6 years ago, when I was made redundant, and I had to own my business and own my gift, and really step out and go, this is me. So, but yeah, people, it's quite interesting, because people go, oh, is there anyone around me? And I'm like, well, yeah. It's like comedians going, oh, you're a comedian, tell me a joke. Or you're a hairdresser, can you cut my hair? Or you're a doctor, oh, I've got this on my leg. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not something that you can just pull out of a hat. You've got to do a lot of prep to a point. For a reading and a healing, you've got to prep yourself, you've got to prep the environment, you've got to prep the room, you've got to prep the client as well, the recipient, and things like that. So, but yeah. I hope that answered your question, because like, if my students are listening to this, their students give me a question and I just diverge, I just go into a rabbit hole. So if I do, please just rein me in.
I think it's totally okay, because we want to hear your stories and your experiences. It will definitely help others that are awakening to their own gifts as well. And not even being in your place, I have that understanding of just how much it takes to really step into that energy, and then protect that energy and cleanse the energy. It's just so much mental, emotional, and spiritual work as well, more than what people think, to actually do what you're doing. And having to leave places where there's a lot of trauma and emotional tolls. It would definitely be a lot from my awareness of it in my way, which is why I would love to ask you if you'd have any guidance for any of those that are just wanting to step into this journey or just starting it.
Yeah, don't be afraid is my ultimate. Don't give in to the fear of it, because it's not fearful. It's more about you learning how to be your own energy bouncer. And what I mean by that is being a security guard for your own energy, learning how to make sure that whatever you do, how you work, you don't take anything on, because it's not yours. And that's probably one of the deepest things that you need to learn, is because unless you don't know who you are energetically, physically, emotionally, things like that, it's really important to know that having that sense of boundaries is the key to this. So setting up, it is it is setting the mood, it's setting the intent, it's setting the structure of going, I'm here to support you, but I'm not taking that on. So, and yeah, just really the first thing is learn your boundaries. This work is such a tolling. If you don't learn your boundaries, if you don't learn to self-care, you can burn out really quickly.
How would you, I guess, protect yourself from heading into burnout? What's your ritual in sort of cleansing yourself?
So, salt bars, gaming, reading books, listening to music, all those earthly human things that bring joy. That's what it is. Also, making sure you spend time with family. Family is big. If I always make sure, and I know it's been, and my beautiful mother-in-law who just transitioned last week, it's this week I had conference and I'm home for until probably about 10:30, 11 o'clock. I came home last night. I'm here till about 11, and then I'm driving up to Canberra, and I'm up there until Sunday, maybe Monday, driving back home. And then after that, I'm home for a couple of weeks, and then I'm off again. So it's sort of life moves on. We do grieve, but it's really important for me to spend quality time in this time with my family, as well as having that being the happy medium, having the balance. And it can be hard. It can be hard, but having a good control of my diary, having a good control of my energy, knowing when I can and can't work, that's the important thing. So, but yeah.
That's
I have
amazing.
to say, when
Go ahead, Ash.
You go. Sorry, Nina.
No, I just wanted to say, I think that is so incredible and something I will definitely take on as well, because I definitely am always in the habit of taking on way too much and then regretting it later and be like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And so listening to you speak, you are very busy, you have a lot of responsibility, and yet you still make time to make sure that you are okay, that you have those boundaries for yourself and you're taking care of yourself. I think that is so beautiful and something that unfortunately, a lot more people need to, install into their own lives, and being like, okay, I can be there and serve others, serve my community, serve people, but first I need to pour into my own cup. And just incredible. You're amazing, Jordie.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And it was really interesting, speaking of that, speaking of cup, I was listening to a podcast from one of my beautiful, she's just absolutely gorgeous. She has a podcast and she's over in the UK, and she had this therapist on, and the key takeaway from that particular interview was we fill our cup, and that's the saying, we fill our cup, but we've got to fill our cup so it overflows into the saucer, so then the saucer can be given to those that need it. So if the saucer's not filled and the cup's not full, then you're not able to give. So you've got to fill your cup first. And this is the thing with society as well. Like, people expect you to always have a full cup and always be on and always be there. And it's important to fill the cup so the sauce is full, and then you can give out. So the more you fill the cup, the easier it is to give of yourself. And I know if I don't do enough, the universe puts me on my butt. Literally puts me on my butt. And so I just got to be mindful of that. So, and just taking time. And then I've also got an elderly father as well, who I'm also working with too, to get him back to the best he can be. And then I've got husband, I've got 2 kids. I mean, my kids are grown up, which is great, but I'm still a mum. I still worry about them, but it's important to get them to own their own energy as well. So, yeah. But yeah, it doesn't mean I don't get sick. I haven't been sick, actually. I was sick last year or the start of the year, but that was only because I was silly. But in this work, probably could count on my hand over the last 7 years. I can count on my hand how many times I've been sick. So, but if I'm sick all the time, it means I'm not looking after myself enough.
So that is definitely a way to know when you are not pouring into yourself to the point where you can overflow into others, is when you're constantly sick. So Ashley and I, we have to learn.
Jordie has told me so many times in the readings, she's like, you have to fill your cup. You have to fill your cup. You have to fill your cup. No, not your circus, not your monkeys. The amount of times I have heard that. She's the reason that I know that saying.
Yeah.
And I always say it now. When something happens, not my circus, not my monkeys. Not my circus, not my monkeys. So thank you for giving me that.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a really good little mind trigger to go, hang on a second, that's not mine. I don't need to own that. That's yours. I can hold space for you, but I'm not taking that on. It's like, oh God, I'm sorry. I'm just getting some visuals, which is quite interesting. It's like someone pouring shit on you and then walking away, and then you have to have a shower and another shower and another shower. So think of holding space, being able to be the bucket for holding space, and then going, okay, that bucket is now gone. I'm not tipping the bucket over me, so you can hold space. Space is a bucket. They can spill what they need to into that bucket, and then you get that bucket moved away. So you're not taking their stuff on. So we all have those beautiful friends and family that just go, because you guys would know this, being who you both are, is you might just sit somewhere in public and someone might sit next to you and tell their life story to you. That's just the empathic soul that you're emanating. But then you go, oh, I feel like crap. Now I've just spoken to that person. Why? Because they've put all their problems onto you. So it's I saw a meme the other day and I absolutely loved it. It was like a cartoon. It was like stick characters type of thing, and there was I've got to send it to you. It's really hard to describe, but there's a gentleman, or a person walking, and it's fully clear, but the person that he meets up with, it's got graying from the hand up to the elbow. But when the person that's got nothing gives that person a hug, all that stuff goes from that person onto the next person. Then he goes and sits down next to a person on a park bench, and they're fully like 3/4 black, and he's only got a little bit from the previous one. He sits down, and all the stuff that comes from that body comes into that body. So by the time he gets to the third person, he's so low because he's got nothing left because everything's been taken up. And then something happens, and then he clears what he's taken on. And I thought that was just a perfect representation of not doing something joyful, something to fill your own cup in between people. So, yeah. And I mean, the best thing is Stan, Netflix, they're my down times. I just watch them. So, yeah. But I hope that makes sense.
Jordie, I just wanted to thank you for everything that you said just now, because it was a massive, just like a moment for me to look back and be like, okay, I've been pouring way too much of other people's energy onto me. And the analogy of like the person that gets covered in black or in soot, or I had it in my mind as like ash. And just so impactful. Just wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. And once you have the key to that, it makes everything so much easier. And also doing a bit of self-work, like the self-mind. I'm a person that, yes, I understand mindfulness and things like that, but I'm not a person, I'm a vocab freak. So mindful, see, for me, I automatically think, well, my mind's full. Why do I need to, I want to release stuff. I don't want to be mindful of stuff. But mindfulness, it's now, for me, I know the understanding of it, which is we're being mindful of our words, we're being mindful of our thoughts. But for me, I break it down. So mindful means my mind's too full and I need to release it. So like calming of the mind works, meditation works, but it's also understanding the internal dialogue and knowing the difference between your fear-based dialogue to your spirit and soul-based dialogue. And that there's also a key for us, me as a healer and me as a medium, me as a psychic or intuitive. It's understanding that the information when I'm sitting down with a client, that the information comes in, I know it's not mine. So being in tune with myself, knowing that that's not my train of thought, that's not my wording, I wouldn't use these words. I've had some things come out of my mouth and I just go, where the hell does that come from? Sorry, I won't swear, even though I'm a bit of a swearer sometimes. But I go, where the hell did this come from? This is not my thoughts. These are not my words. I wouldn't say this normally. And that's only because I'm so aware of who I am within the work that I do. So, but yeah, it's really important to honor that when we walk into a room and we're feeling great, and then we walk out of that room feeling like crap, it's being the mindfulness of awareness to go, hold on a second, whatever was in that room I've taken on. Whoever was in that room I've taken on energetically, so I need to clear that. So I just a couple of different keys to work that for you both. So yeah.
I have a question I would love to ask. How would you say is the best way to go about cutting those ties when you have like a person in your life or a person left, or there's just somebody around where you feel like they're sucking the energy out of you? What would be your advice in how to be like, okay, I don't want to keep having my energy just kind of be sucked out of me? Is there a good way to go about it? Is there an unhealthy way to go about it?
So definitely not, like I said, definitely not alcohol. But the way it works for me, there's a couple of different things. The first thing is think of yourself as a bubble or a shield around you, like you've got Wonder Woman armor on, just a thought, so you don't take other people's stuff on. To give back, it's really interesting, or just it's sort of one, if it gets a little bit argy-bargy type thing, and what I mean by that is energetically, you know that there's cutting ties is a little bit different. So there's a couple of different questions or answers in this. So cutting ties or releasing. One, forgive yourself for being in that space. Two, send it back with love is the key. So just going, I'm not owning this. I'm honoring that this is who you are, but this is not me. So really sending it back with love, because you don't want to be attached to it. So you don't want to do, and it's really interesting because the word karma, I don't put energy to certain things. Like there's certain different things that I go, I know it's there, but I don't put energy. I don't talk about it. I know it's there. I acknowledge it, but I don't give any wording to it, energy to it, because for me, it just doesn't sit right. There's certain things, and yeah, anyway. So we don't want to be physically tangled up or energetically tangled up with someone who's not been the best for us. So we want to send it back with love and go, I honor your journey in this life, but that journey does not belong with me. It doesn't walk alongside my journey. So I need to set, and then there's a couple of other physical things you can do as well. And that could be a whole nother podcast, but it's really important for you in that sense is going, look, it's not mine, it's yours. I will do the best I can do in this situation, but giving it back as well. It's really important to be at peace with how you do it and not be vengeful or fearful or negative around that construct of energy, if that makes sense. So if you've had a bad relationship, it's going, okay, I honor the experience, honor the lessons in this, but now I forgive myself in this situation. Don't have to forgive the person, forgive you, forgive the situation, time to move on. Thank you for the lessons that I've learned in this particular situation. So for me, that would be a cutting tie. That would be cutting out the situation. It doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen.
Mm.
But it's just honoring that love of self. It's honoring the love of self and honoring the healing in that, but also understanding that they've come into your life for a reason and a season. So, and if you've learnt the lesson and been more spiritual or more energetically aware of it, the easier it is.
It's amazing. Wow. It's a lot of things I'm going to take with me. And I wanted to say this as well. The minute, Jordie, you stepped on and I met you, or at least through the screen as of now,
Yep.
you just brought with you this incredible, calming, warm energy with you.
Oh,
I don't know if you feel it as well, Ashley, but it's just like it's emanating. It's like everywhere. It's like a warm hug. You're incredible.
Thank you. Thank you.
Since the day that I met her. I remember the day that I met her so vividly. It was at the Mind, Body and Spirit Festival in Melton, and she was giving a reading to my father, and she wasn't giving a reading to me, to him. And I was sitting there, and I was aware, but I hadn't really dived into spirituality and Reiki and psychic and mediumship and all that just yet. So I was kind of observing her, not creepily either, just watching and observing and hearing and witnessing how she taps into the energy and how she taps into, those in the spirit side of the world. And she brought through my father's grandmother, and I was just listening and thinking to myself, this is just for real. Like, this is mesmerizing is the word that I thought of before. It's mesmerizing to witness. And it's said in such a safe and calm manner that makes you feel so connected, even if you're someone that maybe is kind of like on the fence, 50-50. It's this connection that she brings you into that you just feel so much, and you feel it. Even if you're not seeing it, you feel it. And I remember that day I felt it, and I was crying as well because I just felt it. And after that, I was like, I have to get a reading done. I have to. And I think it was a year or something later, and I got my own done with her. And that was kind of the starting journey of just an unfolding of war, like an awakening sort of thing. And she told me straight. I remember that reading. She told me straight, and it was so needed. It was so soft and safe and everything, but it was exactly what I needed. And since then, yeah, the radiation of her energy is absolutely such a safe haven. And it's such a gift to the universe and to the humanity. A gift from the universe, actually. Gift to humanity.
Oh, thank you.
I can totally see. I was going to say too, I can definitely see the teacher in you as well, and the way that you would really communicate your area of knowledge in all of this. I mean, from when I did a bit of research, you actually have done mentoring one-on-one since 2017, and you also worked on a cruise in 2019 as well. And I think that is just like, I really need to know what that experience was like for you working on a cruise with other psychic mediums as well and teaching people.
Yeah. So, wow. So yeah. So 2017 blows me away. So the story goes, and I'm gonna make a long story short. So the cruise came to my awareness 3 weeks after I was made redundant from my corporate world and me moving into this. So just a bit of a construct to it. I basically was made redundant. The conference I just did, and it's so funny because I still blame Tony Stockwell because I'm made redundant, but I love him and he's absolutely gorgeous. I don't blame him at all. It's not his fault. I just did 7 beautiful days with him, and then I did a week's work in corporate world, and then I was made redundant. So 7 full days of immersement, of mediumship, of soul, intuitiveness, trance, all that beautiful thing. And then I did a week, and then I was made redundant, and I kept hearing this little voice in my head going, "You'll need to get a passport." And I've never had a passport in my life. "You'll need to get a passport, need to get a passport." And I'm like, I don't need a passport. And because I was in corporate mind, I was like, how am I going to find the money to go overseas because I'm not working? So I was in corporate mind because this was not, I didn't even think this was going to be a profession for me. And so I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I was talking to someone just faced like verbally, and they go, "Well, you'll need to get a passport because you'll be going overseas and teaching and training." And I went, "No, yeah, where's the money going to come from? You know, because this was just a hobby for me back in the day." And then I get a phone call 3 weeks later saying, "Would you like to teach on the cruise?" There's the passport that I needed. So, and that was like 3 weeks from being made redundant to coming into this professionally. And I was just like, and so I spoke to hubby, and I'm like, because I said, "Can you give me a couple of days to think about it?" I spoke to hubby, and I went, if I say no to this, doors are going to be closing. I can't say no to this. I just feel like I need to say yes. Said yes, and then the rest is history. But working on the cruise with 3 other beautiful mediums, or 4 beautiful mediums, was a beautiful thing. So on a teaching level, on my experience level, amazing. Loved it. Absolutely immersed in being able to, because I've been teaching for a little while, but most of the teachers they'd done teaching courses in this and all that sort of stuff. So they had a couple of certificates. Certificates mean nothing, to be honest, but having that experience, because a certificate shows you've experienced it in this physical world, doesn't mean you haven't got it already. It just means on a human level, we need that little piece of paper to say, I've done that experience in this human life. Because whatever we do in this human life has already been with us beforehand. Anyway, another story. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole with that one just yet. But I took the first day. I took half the first day, and I know the other 3. There was 2 of us that did 1 day, and then the other 3 took the full days. And I just wanted to prep the students for the next 3 days, because I wasn't doing like full-on mediumship or psychic classes. I just wanted to prep them for the first day, so the second day they could jump in and be quite immersive in their own energy. So I did a meditation and did a couple of exercises with them just to get their souls, their spirit, their intuitiveness on point, ready for the next 3 teachers that they had. So that was beautiful. That was got a lot of feedback from that, and I was quite chuffed. So on a work level, amazing. What I do want to say though is, because I was also helping the other teachers, didn't have to, but I didn't experience the boat enough. So I'd love to work on a cruise again, but I'd make sure that I spend time enjoying the ship, not just working on it. if that makes sense. So, but yeah, sorry, long-winded story. That was just really funny how that all came ahead. So just the moral of the story is listen to that inner voice.
Absolutely, you were led.
Yeah, if you don't hear it, the universe will throw it in so many different ways before it hits you in the face.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a testament to that. I'll tell you that right now. I never used to listen to universe until it told me 3 different ways or 4 different ways, to the point that the 4th one was me on my butt or me hitting the wall, basically. And now I listen to it and I go, I know that feeling. Okay, I'm going to honor that and I'm going to trust it and just move through it. So yeah, that was a beautiful beautiful experience. Definitely do it again, but make sure that I enjoy the days that I'm not teaching. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely. I completely understand. We sometimes get so caught up in the work, we forget to actually have joy outside of it.
So what we were talking about, that happy balance, it just like, I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I'd teach in a heartbeat, but I'd also do a cruise just for me as well. So I'd do a work cruise, but then I'd also do a cruise for me.
Nice.
But yeah.
What advice would you, or where could people maybe reach out to you to become a medium themselves?
Okay. Yeah, cool. And that touches on the mentoring as well, because last year I did my first one-on-one mentoring, six monthly mentorship. So to reach out, you can connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, my website as well. I don't put I don't put my phone number anywhere, because my phone's also my personal phone, because I don't have a work phone at the moment. But when people connect that way or email me, then I give them my personal phone, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, so basically through my Instagram, my Facebook, my website, they can contact me. But the 6 months was really interesting, because the first time I've ever done it. So it was a bit of a beta. I say beta, but it's beta, BETA. So it was a little bit of me finding my feet in what to bring to the table. But it basically worked out as individual, what each person, like one was a professional that wanted to go a little bit more business orientated. Another one was starting out, so what to do and giving tools and constructs in regards to that. So it was a really good dynamic of the people, because I only wanted a maximum of so many, so I could be there for them. But I also run Development Circle online. I also do Development Circle face-to-face and do workshops around the traps and things like that. So it's all basically, the one thing I don't have is a VA or a PA. So I'm getting to a point where I might need one soon, so I can constantly put things on and tell where people are where I'm going. So I'll get over the next couple of days, I'm going to be staying with my friend, and I'm going to be doing basically a whole plan of my visual stuff so I can get it out there. So, but yeah, does that answer your question? Sorry,
yes,
Nina.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ashley is always saying, "Listen, when you come to Australia, I'm going to let you meet Jordie," and I'm like, "Listen, I'm going to maybe do your mentorship, because that sounds absolutely incredible, absolutely incredible."
Cool. Yeah, awesome. And yeah, so obviously at the moment I'm just doing very minimum stuff, obviously with all the family stuff in the background. So it's important for me to be at 100%. So, and also with when people are booking in, I've now got a clause to say, due to family circumstances, that I'm only, like, things may change in 24, 48 hours. So, yeah, so it's just got to be aware of that in the next 3 to 4 months. So keeping everything to a bare minimum and whatever's already booked. But my one-on-ones, unfortunately, I'm moving around, and I do feel for my beautiful clients, and I know they understand, but I just like, there's a couple that I've just postponed about 3 times in the last 4 weeks because of family commitments and family things. So, yeah, and being my own business manager, I'm sort of like going, well, this is just how it is at the moment. So, but yeah, definitely mentoring, one-on-one or development circle. I love doing development circle. So much fun. Because as much as, you know, the saying when they say, there's something about when you're not good, you teach. There's something about that statement. I can't remember what it is, but there's something about if you're good at what you do, but if you're not, like, something about teaching. But it's really interesting because I learn so much more when I'm teaching than when I'm actually doing other things. So I learn, it's so interesting, my readings, my teachings, my healings, I'm learning of myself as much as I'm helping you to learn about you.
Wow.
So, because there's stuff that comes out of my mouth, like I said before, that I just go, and it's funny because when I'm working one-on-one or teaching, I'll listen to something and go, oh yeah, okay, I'm listening. Because it reflects me as much as it reflects you as a client. So it's quite, or a student. So I'm just like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, okay, I got the ass kick. I hear you. Okay. So, but it's true. And if I recognize that, that's really good. If you don't recognize it, there's some sort of work you need to do. So, yeah. But yeah, no, just Nina, just message me.
Absolutely, I will. I will come to Australia and definitely maybe even live there for a little bit. So that would be awesome.
But I run it
Actually,
online. I run
oh
everything
yeah,
online as
yeah.
well. So yeah.
I can do it online too. That's great.
Yeah, cool. I actually, I was teaching someone over in the US, but the timing was just not right because of daylight saving and stuff, and it just,
Yeah.
and then with family of the last 6 weeks, it just didn't quite work out. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. We'll just do what it is. But
Yeah.
I do teach. Basically, I've taught internationally, so I don't really say that out loud because I just, if people who need me will find me. I've actually got a student that who's in my development circle at the moment, and the poor boy, like the poor man, seriously, my name kept coming up, flashing up on his computer, on Facebook, all that sort of stuff. It was just hounding him, and I'm like, but I don't do sponsored. I did one sponsored, which was for a couple of weeks ago. I did a sponsored thing, and I got all the keyboard warriors, and I'm like, now this is the reason why I don't do sponsored or paid adverts. I don't boost myself. If it comes across your feed, it comes across your feed. So I'm never doing that again. But anyway, so he goes, and he did one workshop with me, and I kept getting drawn to him, and I had no idea why. And then he spoke, and he had an English accent. I was like, okay, because he was here, living here. And the poor man, I feel sorry for him. And then he booked in a reading with me, and I said to him, and then the reading, it just said, you need to be in my development circle. I don't know why. Spirit's just telling me that you need to be in my development circle, or I give you the information for the development circle, you take what you do with it. So, but I really felt like you need, and now he's in it. But his story, and he's just done the 5-day conference as well, but not like he wasn't in my class or anything, because I gave him the information about it. And he goes, you know what, your name just kept popping up on Facebook, popping up on this, popping up. Your name just kept coming up to me. And then he found that I was doing a mediumship workshop at Williamstown, and he came to that, and then the rest is history. But I said to him, I feel so sorry because the universe was just hounding him with my name, and he didn't know me for a bar of soap. So that's the sort of thing that happens. And when those sort of signs come up, and this is the thing, to find the right teacher, to find the right reader, the universe will give you that person's name. Because I'm not the reader for everyone. I'm not the teacher for everyone. And I understand that because we all have our own personalities. And I normally cop the beautiful spirit people that are very down to earth. They're motorcycle rockers, beer drinking, for having fun, being out there type of. But then I also get the beautiful grandmothers and grandfathers that come through that have this beautiful gentleness as well. So I try and keep my personality as open as I can, because that there will open the spectrum for someone to come in who's never had a reading before, or as I call them, the healthy skeptic, coming and sitting in front of me. If they're sitting in front of me, they've got a skepticism, but they're also healthy at it. They're not there trying to test me. But yeah, so if it feels right, feels right. If it doesn't, that's fine. I can go, you can, and the thing is with human nature, we're not truthful enough in this. In this work, we're not truthful enough. So if you go, look, I don't really feel like I'm sitting with you, I'll go, that's fine. Here's another medium which I think would be more suited to you. Whereas if that happened to me so many years ago, I would have gone, oh shit, what have I said? What have I done? What have I, or what have I done? It's not about me. It's about the connection to you, for you to get the best out of the reading, the healing, the connection with your loved one. So, yeah.
It takes a lot of growth, and that takes a lot of pouring into yourself.
Exactly. Unprogramming the program.
Yes.
Because we're programmed to fit into someone else's reality. No. Doesn't work like that.
Yeah. Something that Ashley and I often talk about is the different archetypes within ourselves. So child self, teenage self, adult self. And something that I really wanted to ask you while listening to you tell your story just now is there any advice you would give to your younger self, looking back on your journey now, that got you to where you are today? Or maybe even your future self.
Yeah, don't listen. So my younger self is, don't listen to the external noise. Listen to the internal. Because the external noise, yes, the external noise, because we have, and it's really interesting, the external noise is all about the programming. It's all about how we're brought up, how, what you should be, what you shouldn't be, how you are, who you are. I do know that I will put my hand up as a mum. I have done that with my kids, and I honor that and I respect that, because that's the only way I knew. Now, I mean, I do teach them how to trust, to go, how do you feel? But I didn't do it enough, because it's like, this is how I feel, and that is wrong. Whereas, how do you feel? Do you feel like it's wrong? Do you feel like it's right? So it's important to let go of the external noise, if that makes sense. And just be who you are. And we are definitely in a world where a lot of, for example, children or people are very molded to go, this is how you should look, this is how, I mean, it's not even been since like Instagram, Facebook. It's actually, it's generational. It is ageless to a point where, I mean, it's so funny because on the last week we did this awesome night where we did a psychic detective night, and it was Jack the Ripper. But what was really interesting was the lower class, the upper class, the middle class. So if you were born into that class, that was your class. You couldn't go down, you couldn't go up, You couldn't go in between. It was just, you're here, you cannot, it's like upstairs, downstairs. So we're molded into that space, and that's the external. Like, what if someone was supposed to be upper class, but they were born lower class? It's like you hear all these beautiful stories about being homeless to being a multimillionaire because they didn't listen to the external noise. So that's my future self would be take life by the balls and just go with it.
I like that.
Don't hold back.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's beautiful.
Because it's just now I'm getting to a point where, and it's interesting because I would have said that to my 20-year-old self, is take the bull by the horns, take the balls and go with it, because I would have been doing this a lot earlier, but I know it came at the right time, because I'm looking, obviously, just a bit of a heads up, I turned 52 this year. So I'm on the other side of 50 now. So it's not to say that I'm going downhill, because I'm not. It's more expensive. It's more, I'm trying to push as much as I can in for the rest of my life to get things done and do things. And where I wish I had this wisdom. And it's funny because life is wisdom. And we grow and we mature into it. But it's an important thing to go, well, I know I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, but now I want to have a coat. I want to have a book that's 3 volumes, 4 volumes, 5 volumes, full of memories. So it's just important to do that. And yeah, I not to say I wish I had this wisdom, but I wish I acknowledged my inner self sooner than 5, 6 years ago. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I just personally, from everything that I've seen my own life, I think it is our soul's journey to break through what society has taught us who to be and how to be and what to look like and what lives to live. You know, I think that is the journey that we all have to go through. But it's beautiful listening to you, because it's just, this saying has been repeating itself over my personal life, where it's like, what is meant for you is meant for you. It will not miss you. And the same goes for you in your own journey, in your own life. So while the life you're living today, you said just now that you wish you had listened to yourself maybe a little bit earlier, you're still living the life you're supposed to live. And I think it's important to hold on to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. It's sort of like, I look over my life experience, and I'm one of those beautiful old souls that I remember. The only thing I don't feel I remember would be probably between 0 to 2, I would say. But I look at photos and go, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember sitting in that room. I remember sitting and listening to conversations in that room. And it doesn't mean you can't go back to that. And it doesn't mean, yes, I've had trauma in my life. I haven't blocked it out. I've owned it and I've forgiven myself for it. And it's funny because all empaths and healers, we've all had some form of trauma in our life. Always. But looking back over my years, everything led me up to the life that I have now. So, like my husband, I was always drawn to the name Rod. I had no idea why. As a young child, Rod was like, as soon as I hear the name, it would like ping me. Even when I was 7 or 8, had no idea, and went out with a couple of Rods and then married a Rod. So there's little things like that. Do you know what I mean? Where I met him, I was always drawn to being friends with the work environment that he was in. It's a whole nother podcast, by the way. But looking back at every single thing that was happening in my life, knowing that I was going to have my first child before the age of 25, I had no idea why, and I did. So it's just that knowing, that inner knowing and trusting it, but looking back at everything in my life going, oh my God, I knew that. Do you know what I mean? And
Yes.
the one thing I do say, and I've said it a couple of times, and I don't say it all that often because now I look back and go, hope it doesn't mean that I'll go over there and not come home, as in I pass away over there. I really have this sense that if I ever go to Scotland or England or Ireland, I probably wouldn't come back to Australia because I'd feel like I would be at home. Because that's my DNA. But that's just, and it's so funny because I say that and I just go, I'll come back, but I feel like I would never want to leave there is more the point. So changing your words, be careful what you wish for, honouring the vocabulary without pushing yourself over the edge. But yeah, it's interesting. If you look back over your life and see where you are now compared to where you were, what were the little things that would have dropped in to your knowing to where you are now? Now, it's not the little life things, it's the big life things.
Yeah, definitely. And it always feels very different. When you have a thought that is ego-based versus a knowing, those two are very different in how they feel and how they show up. So yeah, just thank you for sharing your light and your wisdom, Jordie.
No, thank you for having me. I tell you that the experiences that I've had so far, and that's just in the last 12 years of my journey in this work, I reckon I could do at least 3 to 4 podcasts easy. It's just crazy. But the thing is what's really important now is the fact that people are more awakened now. People are more yearning for this connection of old to the newness of now, like being unprogrammed to what society feel. And yeah, if that makes sense. So it's just really interesting.
I was going to say that. Definitely. I was going to bring that up and ask you that. Have you seen any changes in recent years with how people have regarded your work or are drawn to the more spiritual side of things, the esoteric side? Because I see it in just like social media and walking outside the house. It's just people talk to each other a lot differently. They show up a lot differently. And it's beautiful. And I'm not even in the field, so I can't even imagine all the things you hear and coincidences that just come up in your own life when you meet new people or maybe even people you've always known.
Yeah. So it was starting to happen before I call COVID universal hibernation. So because we were literally universally forced into a hibernation as such. So we've come out of that a different way. Everyone has. Like when it happened 100 years ago with the Black Plague, or 100 years ago, whatever it was. Sorry, it was Spanish influenza, the Spanish flu, 100 years ago, right? Is exactly it. If you look back, there's a 100-year cycle with this virus or a virus. So that's just to my knowledge, my understanding, and what I've noticed or what I've read and what I've experienced. But it was starting to happen before it, only just with equal opportunity. I mean, we as humans, God bless us cotton socks, like we seriously can be a detriment to ourselves as humans. Yeah. But remember, we're here to have a spirit's here to have a human experience, not a human having a spiritual experience. We've got to have that lesson on this earth plane. So we've got to go through these lessons, but the awakening or the expansion of understanding and the experiences have shifted, I've noticed. And it's only because if you look back, there's the profession that I'm in, there's only two oldest professions in the world. One is mine. The other one is to do with bed, red light, and lingerie.
Oh.
So prostitution and psychics or fortune tellers, we're the two oldest professions in the world.
Wow.
Or healers, witchcraft, the witchcraft trials. We are the oldest profession. So there's healers. If you go back to like the 1200, like there's just there. So yes, it's fraudulent, but we are awakening now, and I feel, because it was just brought to my attention, that we are probably starting to become a little bit busier because people are finding their soul, like they're finding their spirit within the human. So they want to work out how to align it again, how to be in this space. And everything has its place, but spiritual energy, soul is limitless. It's not boxed. The human self of us boxes it. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Very enlightening. That was beautiful.
Because I can go down a garden path with things, but I don't want to put people aside. But things that have happened, that have controlled, that have boxed, that have bubbled spiritual growth, soul growth, it's the human in us that has done that, because we don't want to step out off the cliff, release all fear, and just go to take life by the balls, literally. So,
I think it needs to be heard, because observing social media and observing how people are trying to find groundedness amongst some pretty heavy awakenings to society and reality, I think it needs to be heard in how can they, maybe some guidance of how they can potentially bring some groundedness to something that is quite, it's such a in your face kind of experience to realize, what am I working for? What am I doing this for? What am I doing that for? What is life? I think that's a really big thing. What is life? And people trying to find that groundedness in that awakening. And I think your guidance really gives some sense of meaning to those that are currently in that situation, because it's definitely happening. It's definitely happening. And a lot of people are really struggling with that, and understandably so.
Yeah, and it's all about perception. Like I said, the external noise, it's external. Like today, I was like, oh, I know I'm going to be on video. I've always been in customer service. I've always been in retail. So I'm always dressed nice. I'm always got beautiful things on. But that's just what makes me, I'm radiating my inner self now. Mind you, if you see me without makeup, I'm just look like a little red tomato with cheeks and everything because my skin's so dry. But the important thing is I feel nice in this. I don't feel like I'm overstated. But the external noise, the amount of external noise is because we don't have that inner context. We don't have that inner spark. Now, doesn't mean you have to go and meditate and go, sit with self. What makes you and your inner self find joy? What lights your spark? What lights your inner spark? It's your inner spark that people, if I could English, people radiate to. It's not my external, it's my internal. And there's so much noise out there. Social media is noise. Media is noise. I've got a beautiful friend at the moment that is going through something that in the last, if they were not so internalized and aware of their internal, the external would literally overload her. right? Because the narrative or people making up the narrative, i.e. media.
Yeah.
We need the social, but it's controlled social. It's not sitting in a community around a campfire going, that's my social. So it's just important to find your peace within the external noise that gives you joy, that feeds your spirit, because your spirit will emanate externally. You don't need to go and find it.
Wow.
Don't worry, I've worked on that. I'm just like looking at that and going, fuck, I love, excuse my French, I love that. I'm really glad you recorded that, because some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth, I go, who was that? Do you know what?
Yeah.
So can you see where it's really important to have a balance between both? But yeah, I do want to say, and I will put my hand up for this, I'm a horrible procrastinator scrolling. I am the procrastinator. I go and put marketing on, and instead I scroll. And I just go, what am I doing? Put it this way, if we had this podcast, I'd say 3 weeks ago, because I've just come out of 5 days of immersing in myself, probably would be different. But the reason why I do these conferences or do these training or do this mediumship training with these beautiful people is so I can get back to me and recalibrate. I don't need a conference to recalibrate. I can do it myself, but it's forced to make sure that I'm still sitting in alignment with myself. Mind you, it was hard, but it was worth it. So, but yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely. And just your wisdom, just you're shining, you're glowing in it. Because the world literally always says, you got to go out there. You got to go out and find yourself. You got to go look for it. But you're saying it's exactly the opposite of that. You have to go inward, shut it out and see what's there and grow upon that. Find what sparks joy. I love that.
And it doesn't mean that you don't go out there, because that will be a trigger for the internal. So, right. For example, the teachers out there, like some of the work that I do, or some of my, I want to say, I don't want to call them triggers because they're not triggers, because you could take that out of context. It's me reading a book, me learning with new teachers. The external learning's there, but to find what resonates with you is the biggest key, because what resonates with you may not resonate with another person. So you can tell someone till the cows come home, Jordie's really good, she's an amazing healer, she's an amazing medium, but when they look at me on a video or when I'm talking, they go, don't resonate with her. That's totally fine. Totally fine. Because if you don't resonate with me, the reading, the healing is not going to be what you need at that time. And that's the thing, like Tony Robbins, I love Tony Robbins stuff. It doesn't resonate with me. I'm a teacher. I teach people, and I go, whatever comes out of my mouth, if it resonates, fantastic. If it doesn't, push it aside. I'm not that it for everyone, but it's important to find your it, to find that person, that thing, that expansion that resonates with you. My life experience, I take all experiences on. So if I go past something, I'll go, oh, I can use that in my vocabulary, because I expand it.
Yeah.
But even when I'm scrolling, someone might do an affirmation and go, oh, I really like that. Or I'll listen to a song, I'll go, oh, I really like that. So every step I walk is every step you walk is an experience externally. Doesn't mean to shut it out. It just means the stuff that doesn't. It's really important to filter through what resonates externally to bring it in internally. That's when people get, and I know it's all the human as such, and it's also the spirit trying to get out. But when someone is going through verbal or physical abuse and things like that, we automatically think that's ours because someone's telling it it's ours. We haven't been given the tools to go, I'm stepping away from this because we're in the moment. We're in that fight or flight mode. That fight and flight mode tricks in. We don't center. We don't have that spark in us to go, hang on a second, this is not mine. Because we're in the fight and flight mode, so that's taken over. So we've got to, and I do feel for those people, and it's really important to sit back and go, hold on a second. And me as a reader, me as a healer, I'm here to trigger that in you so you can go find it. Right? I'm looking at doing counselling courses this year on grief because I've started to come into the realization as a medium, and the work that I do, unfortunately, is not regulated. It is not certified, and it needs to be. It really needs to be. I mean, I don't like the word psychic. I call it, because there's psych, which is the psych side, and the IC, intuitive counsellor. So I'm more of an energy counsellor than I'm a psychic, because I'm working with the soul. I'm working with the intention to help you navigate what's going on around you in your journey at the moment. I'm not going to tell you what to do because it's all based on free will. I can give you an outcome, but that outcome is not going to help because you'll strive for that outcome. You don't need to strive. You need to know that it's there if you work on what you're doing now. It's so, I'm not going to get on my soapbox, but it's really important that for me, over the last 6 months, I've realized that if I do a grief counselling course, that's also going to help me. I mean, I've done a lot of work in this, but having the certification to show a beautiful person that I've also a grief counselling background gives them the comfort to know that, because I always send to some, when I always do a mediumship and I know that they need that extra bit of support, I will always say to that person, you need to go to a counsellor. And I'm trying to find some really good ones. But I would prefer to be that there for them because I've already opened up that channel with their loved one and helped them grieve or go through that grief as well, which I already do. Don't get me wrong. I already do. And Ash, you've already experienced that with me. But I'm there to hold and comfort and heal. But that's the spirit, there's the humanness in us that I'll be looking at doing later. But yeah.
I think the guidance around that you've given when it comes to that you're not going to sort of be for everyone, I think is really important to put out there, not just within your area of field, but just with every field, even counselling as well, and anything to do with human beings. Like, you're not going to be for everyone. And even when I talk about you to people and I explain just the kind of experiences I've had, I think it's important for me to even add to them that you might not resonate with, seeing Jordie, and that's truly okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But this is my experiences, and I would love to share them with you to see if it possibly does. This is such a showing of the vast experiences of healing that's out there, and Jordie's skills and her gifts really offer that perspective that there is a lot more healing that can be shown and given to people. And it's definitely, if it's meant to be, it will be something for you. Even if it takes time, that's totally okay. But
Yeah.
I can definitely say for myself that the healing that Jordie has really brought into my own life is something that has really what's the word? Revelation. I can't get my English today either.
Oh, sorry. I've rubbed off on you. Revolutionize.
It's always Jordie. Always, I'll say to me that English is not my native language. I swear, because I can't get the words. But she's definitely
It's your spirit trying
revolutionized
to human it.
my healing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this healing journey in a way that I really didn't know could fully go down that journey. You know, I only knew what I knew in that box kind of ideology that society says this is how you should heal and this is what you should do. But no, there's so much more out there to assist you in more ways than what we think. And you know, if it's meant to be, I'd love to do more episodes with you as well, with Nina, well, both of us, sorry, to do more episodes with you to really expand on your knowledge and wisdom for other people to really hear themselves if that's what is needed for them on your guidance, because you've got a lot to share, a lot.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I just, it's sort of like I feel that sometimes I get on my soapbox with it because but it's my experience, my knowledge, my experience, my understanding so far. And I learned that also that little saying of this is my experience, my knowledge, my understanding. I learned that from a beautiful mentor that I had that I sat in development circle for 4.5 years with. So he's his name's Benjamin Beans, Benes. And he's a beautiful, beautiful man. And I feel truly blessed to be, I sat with him every week basically for 4.5 years, except obviously certain holidays and when I wasn't well. But I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't sitting in that circle as well. So I honor my mentors that I've had so far, and I feel truly blessed to have them as a part of my journey. There's some that have been a little bit like, meh, but if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I am now. Do you know what I mean? It's like being a daughter. It's like I wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't have the parents that I had. Wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't have a husband that I had. My husband is so understanding. God bless his cotton socks. With everything that's going on for him, he's still allowing me to work because this is life. So we lost my beautiful mother-in-law last week. And I've been away and I've supported him from afar and he knows that. But all this was booked like 6 months, 12 months beforehand. So when someone passes, you can't predict that. And you can put your life on hold for a couple of days to grieve, but you don't have to put your life on hold for the rest of your life. So grief works differently and you cannot, what I've noticed over the years, me being a medium, is you can't force someone else to grieve the way you grieve. So people may look at me and go, why are you working? Why aren't you home grieving? I am grieving. I had a chance to grieve before she passed. So it's important to honor the way people grieve in different ways. Unfortunately, grief is not black and white. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. It's rainbow colored, it's faceted to the hilt. And grief can be someone passing. It can be a loss of a relationship, a loss of a work colleague, a loss of a job, a loss of just a loss of anything really. We can grieve losing $50 in the wash, you know, like when money was paper. Do you know what I mean? We can grieve over loss in so many different ways. But like I said, going back to the internal, knowing internal dialogue, our internal spark, knowing that everything lives on is important. So I know my mother-in-law is definitely on the other side okay, because that's my belief. See, that's the other thing. Belief and faith is also key as well. Finding your own belief and faith and what feels right, what doesn't feel right. Oh, we can talk for hours. Sorry.
Nothing to apologize for. Listening to you is always so enlightening and so beautiful. I have reused that word way too much this episode, but but it is truly, like you said, grief is not linear, and it doesn't have a certain way or form or look to it, and it's different in everybody and how it's expressed. So yeah, just be compassionate with yourself is always how I go about it, and what I tell other people as well. Just try to be as compassionate as you can to yourself in moments of grief.
Oh, 100%. And there'll be times where you let go and be emotional. Like I know, because this came up this last week as well, or in the last couple of days, where I don't normally cry. I do cry, don't get me wrong, but I don't cry like I used to. But I know when I haven't cried for a little while, a good rom-com or a good show that I know hits me in the feels, I will watch that so I can release.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, it's finding your way in this journey, finding your groove, making sure if you jump out of the groove, you know why you've jumped out of your groove, your journey, and come back into it. Finding ways to bring you back into your journey and into your groove. So, yeah.
That's awesome. With that being said, how, if you may, if you want to, how can people reach out to you? If you could maybe mention it one more time to anybody listening, anybody wanting to sign up for anything.
Yep. So Instagram is Jordie Jane or Jordie_Janes_medium. I'll send you all the links and everything. You've got Jordie Janes Psychic Medium on Facebook, and then also my website is jordiejanes.com.au. So those are the three ways that I have at the moment. But yeah, just go on there and there's an email address and you can just email me with for any information, and just bear with me because when you do and I don't get back to you within 3 to 4 days, please stalk me because I don't have a personal assistant. I am my personal assistant. I am my business manager. I am everything under one hat, and I need to find people to put hats around. So, and I also do platform mediumship, which is working stage, basically being on stage and doing mediumship demonstrations and things like that as well. So, are pretty versatile with things. So yeah.
It's awesome. So, Ashley, do you have anything else you want to say?
No, I think we've covered a vast majority. Like I said, it would be lovely in the future one day to have you on our podcast again and dive further into these topics.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm never short of a word, as you can tell.
That's always a good thing. That's always a good thing.
Definitely. 100%. Nothing to apologize for or anything. It's needed, especially during these times. 100%.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for having me. It's been an honor and a joy, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you
so much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been fun. It's been really fun. So,
yes, it was a lot of fun, a lot of enlightenment, a lot of peace. I learned a lot today. So thank you again, Jordie. And yeah. Ashley, do you want to do the outro or?
Okay. Yeah, thank you again, Jordie. And to all of you, I hope this was able to give you some guidance if it resonated. So take care of yourselves, and until the next episode, bye, friends.
Bye.
Bye.